What is pussy popping, you beautiful humans? My name is Ariane Andrew,
I'm Matt Dillon, and welcome to another piping hot episode of Sippin' the Tea.
where we sip the tea and our guests
Spill that tea! That was good! Yes!
Cheers.
What's up, mommy?
What's up, little glitty glit?
All right, guys, we have two institutions in the building today. Between them, they have read the news, been the news, spoken about the news, and now they're together forever. Well, for a little while. Carlos Amezcua, Lisa Remillard. What is happening?
I gotta drink some tea first. Hold on.
My love, I'm so glad you're here. My love, I'm so glad you're here. Thanks, man.
That was very
I
fancy.
can't reach that far.
He's very fancy.
He's like-
Thank you for having us, both of you.
Great
I'm
to be here.
excited by
Great to be here.
your project, and I love that there's such a synergy between what we're all doing and all of that. But yeah, let's kick into it.
Let's kick right into it. So you guys have, made your mark in morning news. You guys have, different stories. Walk us through the journey of, how that has created the foundation of where you guys are at now.
I'll start when I
you
got my
start.
covered wagon coming across the plains. I saw a TV tower and said, "That's for me." I mean, I feel like that in this room. I feel really, really like ancient.
But see, that's the beauty of Carlos.
Wait, my phone's ringing. What the heck?
No. turn it-
Welcome to
Wait.
television.
Right? He's like, hello.
No.
Hello? No. Actually, the truth is, back in 1991, I was one of the original anchors of the KTLA Morning News,
An institution.
and we were very happy to start a program that no one was watching. No one watched us at all. We got hash marks until big events started happening in LA, and we were fortunate enough to have the resources to cover it. And it became an institution. Yeah, almost 30 years later, it's done very, very well. So yeah, I was lucky to be in the right place at the right time and to be selected to be one of the co-hosts and co-anchors of that show. And it, LA's home, and so it was perfect for me to be here and to be able to do that and to execute our work. And so yeah, it's been fun.
Okay,
Yeah.
He's been all over the country.
I was about to say
obviously.
he's very under
Yeah,
like
I mean, he's been
radar, 'cause
everywhere.
I'm like, you've been everywhere. But that leads me to you. You've also been kind of places.
Well, no, I've been everywhere too. I mean, I've been in this business more than 15 years now, traveling all over the country, covering the biggest stories in the country. And then I always wanted to come home, and home was here. I grew up in Pasadena, like right outside of Pasadena. Yeah.
Go ahead, say it. It's
It
Temple
was Temple City.
I don't know why you're
Let's
so.
be honest.
Why are you
It's
afraid
Temple
of Temple
City.
City?
Yeah, it's Temple City.
Pasadena.
That's
Yeah.
well, I always say Pasadena,
Yeah.
but it's Temple City. And I grew up here, and I wanted, to come home. And so San Diego was this close to home, without having to drive all the way into LA every day.
Yeah.
So I landed in San Diego, and I loved it there. And then I had a wonderful co-host. He was awesome, and he was not Carlos.
Wow.
And then one
Where's
day,
he now? He gone.
yeah. Then my boss came to me one day and said, "Carlos Amezcua is going to be your new co-anchor." And I said, "Not today."
Yeah.
And he came, and I did not like him.
I forced the issue.
He forced it.
Honestly, the thing was that David Davis, who was the co-anchor beforehand, was so good, and they were so good together. I had no idea why they wanted me to come to work. I said, look, I was basically retired. I didn't really want to work anymore. But Steve Cohen convinced me to come, and I met Lisa, and she was appropriate. I wouldn't say warm and engaging and thrilled to see me.
Not warm and fuzzy.
And David it was awkward with David because he had been sitting the next to, but instead of firing him, which is what normally happens when you bring a new anchor man, they slid him down to the next seat. So he became the news reader, and I became the co-host with Lisa.
Ooh.
So the three of us are there, awkward, right?
Weird,
Here we are.
awkward,
That's like a menage a trois that
it's
you're
like
not ready
an
for.
ex-husband there
It was
with
very
like a new one.
strange, and the whole thing actually worked.
It did.
Because David and I became great friends,
Yeah.
and Lisa finally warmed up. Took her about 5 years. We were only together 4 years. It took her 5 years to warm up.
5 years.
So you're just warming up right now?
Currently,
She's like, I'm warm.
Yeah, I'm good now.
And we found out that the three of us had great magic and chemistry, and it just worked.
And we did. And David ended up being so much happier in that role and could have a life. And
Yeah, he loved it, actually,
He loved
yeah.
it. And then he, and like Carlos said, they became really good friends. We all were great
we hung
friends,
out.
and
It
we
was-
hung out, and it was
yeah.
wonderful. And we created this thing in San Diego that kind of well, I didn't realize it, but Carlos always talks about it. It kind of has that reminiscent of the old KTLA morning news, that kind of fun, yet newsy, informative, and exciting to watch. People would come to us and say, like college kids. Well, college kids are watching television, like morning news.
It's true.
Yeah.
And college kids would come to us, even to Carlos, and be like, "We love you. We want."
Carlos.
Do you know?
I'm like
Really
Bernie
comes-
Sanders.
She really
Like
comes
Bernie
for you, man.
He's really
She's like, even him.
Even him. No, the truth was that what I tried to instill in both David and Lisa is, don't worry, they're not going to fire us. They're just not going to. Don't worry about it. Just do what you're going to do, and say what you're going to say, and we'll take our lumps and move on. And that was the motto by which we lived in KTLA, that we were going to be just authentic and be real and be who we are. And look, if you're going to vacation in Van Nuys, it's okay. You don't have to go to Rome or to the South Pacific. You're gonna go buy a Volkswagen in Van Nuys. That's your big day today. Hey, congratulations.
Talk about it. And so and then I did that. I mean, I watched KTLA growing up. I was very clear never to say that to Carlos because I didn't want his head to get too big.
This is the first time you might be hearing because it's expanding
It's
exponentially
currently-
right now.
I actually told him when we started this business. I told him. But I did. Everybody who lived
I was
here
about to
watched
say.
it. Everybody did. And everybody watched that news. And I remember watching that as a kid and thinking to myself, that's the kind of news I want to do. I also knew that.
I've never heard you say that.
But it's because it was fun.
Yeah,
because it was
fun.
fun and
Yeah.
they were themselves, but they were also delivering news, which was important to me. So that's what we have now created with Beyond TV and the Carlos and Lisa.
Look at this one. The segue is
She was
perfect.
right.
She's like, let me just segue.
She was like, let me help y'all.
Sure.
Here.
Professional.
Well, let's
what
get
I
into
do.
it because just before we move into it, because the way that you describe it's kind of this originally like love-hate. You're like, get off this is my set. What's going on? She knew who you were. She's like, no, I don't need to be put next to you. You're going to outshine. No, this is me. Come on now. Was there a moment in that 4 years in San Diego where in your mind it flipped and you're like, oh my God, I love him?
100%. Yes.
And is that the moment you both realize, shit, we're better together than apart? Because you two together have something that you can't you can't put water in its stir and just say, here you go. That's
Right.
That's it. You just can't.
Yeah.
The same, I would say the same for us. People are like, no, we fight like animals.
Oh, do we?
Let's get down, girl.
Make up.
And then we make up.
Wait, we'll be right back when we get married.
Right.
But it's like, there's something to be said about like the concept of you two as the duo.
Yeah.
I feel your scope of history speaks for itself, yours speaks for itself, but together, it's just something so special. And it's like, when did that kind of hit for you?
I mean, I recognized
Just
it.
like day one.
No, day one I
wasn't
was
day
not
one.
a fan. It took me a while because I was so used to the other show that I had built and worked to create. And then Carlos came and I was very hesitant. And then I remember thinking to myself, I know this personality because my father had this personality. Very similar. Carlos. I always say Carlos and my dad, if he was still alive, would have been buddies. Carlos is everything that my dad was, and not to make him be old or anything, but
I'm her dad's age.
but he is. I understand him in a way because I grew up with that
It's
man.
so nice.
So I remember there being a time when I was like, this can work. And then I started to relax and not be so, who are you and what are you doing on this set?
It's true, yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah,
then
you and
it-
Leslie Lopez were like totally against me. It was like,
Well,
Leslie, who works
Leslie
at Channel
Lopez,
7
yeah.
here, she was the weather person and Lisa was the anchor person, and I was just sitting there doing my job, and I could feel the, like, come on, what's this guy doing
This is
here?
what good TV is about.
Yeah.
The real inner workings
Yeah.
of like
But-
what it's like.
But then there comes a moment, and you guys, I'm sure, had had that moment too. There comes a moment when it just works.
Just clicks.
You can watch ours on our blooper reel.
Yes.
We had quite the moment. I tried to rip my mic off and walk off and be like, I'm done with this shit.
Oh my.
Yeah.
You've seen me at my best.
I know. I
At
have.
my worst.
I have.
We can save that for another.
No, we're saving that for never.
Okay, so let's talk about you guys' show. It's the new day and age. It's, everything's digitally streaming. What makes you guys' show different from everything else out there?
Us.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Hey, come through.
We are what makes the difference. And the truth is that we have extensive news depth and knowledge and experience, and gives us a unique perspective on the world. We've been around the world. We've covered everything you could possibly cover in news. So when we talk about issues, we know what we're talking about, and we've done the research to deliver that research in a friendly way. I'm not going to be Walter Cronkite going, today there was an officer was shot in Riverside, blah, blah, blah. No, and we're going to talk about the reasons the cause and effect, what causes that. We'll have health experts in, we'll have police experts in, we'll have people who are helping our children, who are doing all these other things. So what we decided was that's really where our wheelhouse is, in talking to people and getting the best out of them, giving the information without any kind of an agenda, because we can get into political discussions and still respect each other and respect the people we're talking to and not get into a big argument. So the difference is that we have our take on this, and we try to be, I think we used to say we're so honest it hurts. And that's really the way it feels when we're doing our show, is we're just trying to be real.
100%.
1,000%. And that's what it's about.
Yeah.
Because people can smell, I'll keep it PG for y'all. People can smell BS, and you guys' personality is very authentic. It isn't your typical, today, it's very relatable. And that's what people want to have, is something that I can get information, but I can relate to it.
Thank you.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't think in this day and age, when everybody, where's my phone? When everybody has a phone in their hand, I don't think that old model works.
Yeah.
Now you have to be dynamic enough and mobile enough, not just mobile phone, but like agile enough
Correct.
to be able to do the news with the backgrounds that we have, but also be able to relate to that person who is 20 watching you on a phone instead of watching you on a TV screen. You have to be able to navigate that, and it's different. It's a different skill set than it was even 10 years ago.
But the truth is that we're not alike at all. We're from different generations. We went to school in different places. We grew up in different places. And the generational thing is really interesting to me, because she'll say things and I go, what does that mean? Please explain to me internet.
Yes, right.
I do not understand that. What is that? I mean, she can do a posting on the web. You can do like 25. It takes me all day to do one Facebook post.
I know. I've been waiting for your tags and regrams, honey. I guess I'm still waiting, but thanks for the repost.
No problem. No problem.
Exactly. I mean, and so the generational thing also works for us. The fact that I have my perspective and she has her perspective, and sometimes we agree.
Very rarely.
But it's about having that, it's adapting to, like keeping what you feel has made you who you are, because you guys have made some crazy marks in this world and leaving your mark. So it's about being adaptive, but still having your flavor.
Yeah, Carlos has a lot of flair. Don't let him fool you. He has so much flair.
It's there.
Yeah.
No, he has so much flair, and what I appreciate about him is that he does have that extensive background, that that pedigree in news that kind of died. It's not the same as it was when I was growing up through news. So we relate on that level, but then I have a different take and he has a different take.
I think it's the perfect blend of, you both come with the hard-hitting news, like you've been there, you've done it, you've walked in those shoes, but I think you both provide, and I think with Carlos and Lisa, that it's kind of this light affair which can look at some serious topics, but done through a different lens.
Yeah.
And I think that's why the digital component of it works, because people want to, there's a lot of people, young, middle-aged, that just don't even watch television anymore.
Oh, yeah.
They want it now, tomorrow, and they want to watch it again, and they want to be like, oh, I missed that. So it's like the way you're doing it is in digestible amounts, but it's done in such a conversational way where you're not talking at me, we're talking together.
Like a conversation.
Like right now,
Right.
which is
Like
what we're doing.
Right.
We're attempting.
Best part is we're
Very
in
good.
charge.
Yeah.
We don't have a TV station to answer to, or a network, or a big corporation. It's just us. And
We
can
have
do
been
that.
through
We've
you've
already
been on
been
some
through
roller
it.
coasters, so you've been there, done that.
Been
We've
there,
already
done
been
that.
through
Yeah.
it. And in this day and age, when we have all this cool technology available to us, when you have what we already have in terms of experience, why waste it for somebody else when you can do it yourself?
And you have an inbuilt viewership.
Right?
Because they branded themselves so hard together.
Right.
But it's kind of like, people are like, where'd they go? Well,
Yeah.
here they are.
Here we
They
are. yeah.
are.
Where'd they go?
Yeah.
And I did look. You look on the web, and people are like,
Where are
where'd
they?
she go? And she's gone. Everyone's
Right.
gone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's amazing that they now, you have your space to do what you want, which is what we do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You already spent your time building someone else's door. Now you guys are building your own.
There you go.
That's
Yes,
the point.
sir.
Yes,
Yes,
queen.
sir.
Yes.
Knocking it down, okay? That's how it should be.
I
you know?
agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
So, guys, what's next for you? What is, is it continuing with, the show? What else do you guys have, stewing?
Which individually,
Yes,
spill some.
individually. Spill that
Because I
tea.
know you
Well,
got
look,
some.
we want to continue. We're about to hit our 50th original show. I know you guys just did.
We
so
just hit it. Yeah, I got you, babe.
Congratulations. So we're about to do that, which is a huge milestone for us. Like it's
Yeah,
it's
in
a
11 weeks, basically.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
It's a lot of work, and we've not ever done that before.
No.
On our own, booking everything and
Isn't it
creating.
amazing? You have a great team, by
We
the
have
way.
a-
Shout
yes.
out. Where you at?
Yeah,
girl?
Shout
yeah,
out to the team.
yes. We
She's
have a.
busy booking guests.
She's yes. And so we're excited about that. And then fall back on KDOC Monday through Friday at 8:30 a.m. By the way, just where's my camera?
Right
Over
here,
there,
this is
that
my
one.
camera
right
Right
there.
here at 8 a.m. KDOC.
I get that station.
Yeah,
I was
everybody
like,
does.
hey, girl.
Everybody gets
Everybody
it.
gets
Yes,
it.
Everybody gets that
KDOC.
station. Yeah.
Even you, babe.
Yes, Mama.
Go back to
Even
sleep,
you.
girl.
I'm
So
sorry.
the extension is the digital platform, which is Beyond.tv. And so we decided that we were going to continue to use a legacy television, which is what I'm familiar with and where we worked all those years. And that's still viable and it still makes revenue and it sustains the company. But we're building a platform that's going to expand and it's going to grow. And that digital platform is where we're expecting to do more programs and more content and just grow that thing. And we also think we've got a shot at syndication. So we think we can go across the country with this little duo of us.
Everyone needs a little Carlos and Lisa. I mean, come on.
Everyone needs a little Ariane Mad too. Come on now.
We'll go out as
I
a
agree.
companion show,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, I can do that. I can do that. We can do the after dark session. Yeah,
right. The Watch What Happens Live.
watch what happens
dark.
after.
Yes.
Girl.
Yes.
Ooh,
It's like
Henny.
beep, 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 beep. I want to get
Way
in-
different dynamic than we have
Yes,
here.
totally
Yeah.
different.
I don't think so.
Really?
I don't think so. I think that, people would look at us and the split difference. I think you and I we have a similar vibe.
Yeah.
But I actually think the way your mind thinks and like you're very like it steps for you and
Type
everything's
A
tight. Yeah, and I think there's a lot of
But A
because I'm
personality.
definitely you. Girl, the day I met you at that station, girl, I was like, what's up, bitch? Literally in the room.
Absolutely, yeah.
I'll never forget it.
I know. I remember it too.
Never forget it.
I
So, I want to kind of break it down just a tad.
Okay.
We're the dynamic duos. You can't always be dynamic together. What's the one pet peeve about each other? Maybe it doesn't have to be negative. Maybe it's something that you identified and you all grew from. Or maybe it's just some shady shit. So let me sit. You want to start, Lisa? Because she looks like she got something to say.
Let Carlos start. I let
So what's the
Carlos
one thing
start.
that
She's the
might...
most perfect co-host I could possibly have.
Oh, that's some
There's not a-
bullshit.
The
There's not a
political
single thing that I would ever.
Right?
No.
See?
He knows.
Wait, she's got the...
I know. I was a little like. bothered.
Well, here's the thing. I've worked with some of the best women in television.
That is true.
Barbara Beck, Giselle Fernandez, Michelle Ruiz, Lauren Sanchez, Christine Devine, Sharon Tate. I mean, you name everyone, all the women who work in this town I've worked with
Yeah.
at one point or another. So these are some of the top TV people.
Yeah.
And I would say that Barbara Beck and Lisa Remillard are two of the best I've ever worked with.
That's sweet.
Both of them annoy me to no end.
Right.
Because they're the kind of people who don't always. I like people to agree with me, and she doesn't agree with me. It kind of rubs me a little bit raw sometimes.
Rubs
And I
you a
look
little
at
bit
her and
raw?
I go,
Like the wrong way. Yeah, he gets really.
I thought he
angry
said
about
raw.
it.
I was like, girl.
I was like, what?
again, generational issues.
That's a joke.
I heard something else, and Lisa's like, let's just skate over that, girl. Honey.
Yeah, no, I
This is
said
not-
something.
It's a generational thing, and I heard it, and I knew what he meant.
Yeah, I said, what's no? So I said this the other day. I said, what's all the hoo-ha about?
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's no idea.
No, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, we're unedible. We're not in a bit.
Okay, and everybody looked at me like, "What did you just
I
say
know,
that?"
But
My
here's another
grandfather.
way.
Oh, that's so
Here's
bad. Now
another way.
I don't like.
Here's another one. Here's another one that this is a true story. We were talking about side hustles,
Oh no.
and Carlos was like,
Huh?
"A side hustle?
Side hustle? Like you
Like
mean
we
like
can't talk about that.
pimps and stuff?
Like generational." But like I was talking about like a side hustle, like
Like
your
an extra job.
Yeah, extra job.
And I thought,
Like your side
and I,
hustle. We all
and
got
I
side
thought,
hustles.
why are we talking about pimps and streetwalkers?
It's like no. See,
But this is why it works.
this is why it
Okay,
works.
so I
This
didn't
is why it
know.
works.
No
This
one
is why-
told me that's what it was.
Side hustle.
Explain to me, internet. This is how we go, you guys. This
I'll
is
see you on the street corner.
I've got my side hustle going
only $3.99.
right here.
That is unbelievable.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you just turned. That was just the nicest way of saying like he had no issues with you, except
no,
you know.
that I annoy him.
So-
And that's
so-
that's my issue with him is he's the most fun I've ever had in television, and I've been in the business a while, has been with Carlos. We have fun. We sometimes he is brilliant sometimes, and sometimes I'm like, what are you talking to?
Oh, while she's doing
Like-
this, and we'll be right back. for the
So you'll know, you'll see it on the show, and I'm like,
She's got the WTF look on her face.
we'll be right back. You know.
But you're like
Yeah.
a married couple.
Yeah.
No, but you guys, this is what makes the dynamic duo. If you guys both were the same, it wouldn't work.
No, it'd be boring. Yeah.
Would
You
be
know,
boring.
you need to have someone who is one way and the other person that's the other way. That's what makes the duo the
Yeah.
dynamic.
Could you
The dynamic
imagine
duo.
if we agree, if you guys agreed on everything? It wouldn't
Rarely
be fun.
happens.
It wouldn't be
Discussion.
fun.
It
It's a
happens.
discussion. You know, it's like you're able to get to a point where it's like
Communicate.
yes, where it's not like, you know, I feel a certain way and I'm just it's like you're communicating on like, this is what's bothering me or this is what's working. You
The
know.
important thing, I think, is respect.
Yeah.
If you're respectful about it and you have fun doing it and you're on an even keel as far as the respect part, you're never going to cross. You're never going to get to that point where you actually hurt each other.
Yeah.
And that's important professionally and personally as well.
So we're gonna, make it in on a nice little.
Let me get some
moments.
some woo-ha.
See? There it is again.
I didn't say anything.
I just mixed the words together.
Carlos
What did you just say? The hoo-ha?
infiltrates everything.
You
This is how
you're
he does.
She just got me good. Now I'm going to be walking
Look
down the
out.
street being like the
He
woo-ha.
does.
All right,
Look
so
out,
we,
Ariane.
we put a call out to get some little, a little few questions,
Oh yeah.
just to see. Here we go.
What's he doing?
I don't know.
Just some rapid fires.
Oh, okay.
Just some rapid
Is he doing
fires.
something on his phone? Is that what he's doing?
Yes, that's
Oh.
a phone.
A hoo-ha.
That is a phone.
It's not. Wait, no hoo-ha.
Gotcha.
here.
Oh my gosh.
All right.
All right. Trapped on an island.
Yes.
Who are you taking with you?
Who am I taking with me? No one.
Oh, you're staying by yourself forever
yes.
on an island?
Yes. Just leave me alone. I just need a break.
But babe, that's not a break. That's forever, babe.
Yeah. No.
I understand, girl.
I just need a break. I'm gonna read a book. Can I bring my phone and play on it?
No, that's over. You're
That's the whole
trapped.
point. It's like you're stranded. Nothing. So that
Oh.
way you have a person.
Can it be Chris Pine?
Okay. All right. There you have it.
That would give me
She's
endless
available. You can
activity.
follow her, Lisa. You get your chance to do your plug at the end. Follow me. Follow
That would
me.
give me endless entertainment.
Me too. I'll fly him on the chopper.
Yes.
So, Carlos, what about you?
That one's easy. The Rock.
Carlos, that is not true.
He's like, not my wife.
Is he-
but
Yeah.
what the
Oh, his daughter. That's sitting
Because The Rock would get me off the damn island.
Oh.
Congratulations.
I mean, even a 200-foot tidal wave
Wait,
doesn't
let's
take him
stop
out.
him.
I mean,
He'd get me
Nice
off the island.
perspective.
Yeah.
Yet again, Sensei. Master.
See,
Master.
that's what
On,
happened.
on island, off island.
Did you bring your mariachis?
Yes.
Yes. All right. Last question to round us out.
Yes.
The favorite, and this is, it's a big question. It's maybe a little bit less rapid.
Okay.
But the favorite interview of your career to date? Just one of, because I'm sure you have many moments.
Yeah, there's lots of moments.
Yeah. What's the first one that sprung to mind? 'Cause I know
My favorite ever, it's hard. My favorite ever was when I got to go to and the only reporter ever and since to interview the fighter pilots in a top government facility. Who's like it's like the equivalent of the Blue Angels for the Air Force.
Okay.
And they let me into their weapons school that teaches the best of our best military. Nobody's ever been granted access. And
And maybe
granted
they won't be again.
Yeah.
Probably not after May. No, it was an awesome experience, and I got
Wow.
to fly in an F-15 jet, and it was
Making history.
It was
That's so
incredible.
cool.
It was incredible. That was fun. And then my other favorite.
So they only asked
Girl,
for
you only
one.
get one?
She got to get it out. Spit
Okay,
it out.
let her have. Let her have two.
I'm a huge Star Wars fan, so I interviewed Mark Hamill, and that
Sick.
made my day.
That's a
I
nice
got-
balance.
I got to host his naming ceremony. He got a street named after him in San Diego. I got to host that.
That's a good balance.
So
I watched that live
on
from a
the
distance. From a distance on the internet.
internet.
That was cool, though.
That
That
was
was very cool. Yeah.
That was cool. Carlos
So what
has
about
a-
you?
Same
Carlos
question.
has a
Oh no!
I was about to say,
that's a really unfair question. I've
know.
interviewed so many people, and I am a legend. So the top.
I did say the same thing though. I was so excited to get y'all to sit here today. More for
I
Lisa
say
than
that
you, Carlos.
every time I say that. I do it just to annoy her.
He does.
Yeah, yeah.
Because
the
he's a
whole-
legend in his own
mind. Yeah.
That's-
Can't we all be legends? But you actually have the pedigree to actually say that, quite frankly.
No, it's hard for me to pinpoint, but I think the most exciting thing for a guy like me was to interview somebody that you looked up to. There was a little bit of hero worship when I was a kid, and that was the band Chicago. And and Chicago came to the station, and I got to sing with them and jam with them and do an interview, and I was out of my mind, crazy with these guys, and I still am. I mean, they're still my favorite band, and I don't even, by the looks of your faces, neither one of you know who Chicago is.
I know, I'm like-
there you go,
I'm-
Chicago.
You
Who?
don't know Chicago? Chicago?
Generational issues, babe.
Yeah.
See what I mean?
Did,
How am
did
I
my
starting to
face-
get old?
Did my face really read that? I think
I could
I
tell.
smiled and he goes
I
down. I
know,
was
like
like,
So,
It's actually kind of a big deal.
so back, imagine who's popular today? Justin Bieber or somebody?
Oh.
Wow.
Who's huge?
Well, look, it's
Katy Perry?
No.
Ish.
Who's like really
No,
big in the
it's-
music business?
There's no equivalent.
Are you looking
Yeah.
at
I'm going to look it up.
Okay, so
you know their music.
I
yeah,
bet
you
you
know
definitely
their music, and so anyway, so that was a big event for me. I mean, I've interviewed President Carter, I've interviewed President Reagan and Bush, and Colin Powell,
He was
and
like, let me
Hillary
just-
Clinton.
There we go.
Okay.
So I've
Did
done all of the standard things that you would do in a long career. Interview a lot of really
Not
famous
bad.
people.
9.7 million views on turns.
Yeah, so
I know one of them.
so it's hard to say what there've been some great faux pas. I mean, but those things are just part of the life of a person on TV.
Carlos also is a huge musician. That's people.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
I was like, did you bring your?
I didn't bring my guitar, no,
No,
unfortunately.
I thought we were gonna cha-cha out of here. No, that's
he did
what
not bring.
But I
Maybe you-
played my way through school,
He did.
Yeah.
He did.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Well, on that note, guys, let's do a little quick cheersies, and then I
Oh.
want you guys to
Cheers.
Cheers.
We do a
Thank
little-
you for coming
Cheers.
in.
Thank you
Thank
for having
much
us.
success, and then
We're gonna say
you know,
where we
Much
find you
success to
both
you.
on social media. That camera there,
Okay.
and the show. General
Yes.
plug.
plug
Do
and
your
sing.
thing.
Okay, so watch us Monday through Friday on KDOC here in Los Angeles at 8:30 a.m. The show is Carlos and Lisa. We, of course, can be found at beyond.tv and Beyond TV on all the social platforms.
Don't forget us. And we love you guys.
Thank you
Thank
for
you for having
having
us here.
Thank you
Thank
for
you.
And
coming.
we'll put it on the hyphen underneath. It's BEOND.
Yes, it's
Just in
spelled
case you
weird.
that went beyond your
There's
head.
no why.
Right?
Because
Yeah.
we know
I'm
the
trying to
why.
get
We
you-
don't need it.
Yeah.
You guys can follow me across the board at Ariane Andrew and this little sleeping nugget at Glee Quit.
You can follow me at Matt Dillon 1983, and oh,
Woke up for a
you can
hot
follow It's Mama 2011.
Cheers.
Until next time,
On Sippin' the Tea, we will catch you guys next Tuesday on Ever Talk TV.
bam!
Yes.
Thank you again,
Thank
guys.
you.
Yeah, you got the wrong number. Click.